Hi, you. It's me, Nicole Phoenix Star, and this is the Nick Star podcast. Today on the podcast, I am speaking a little bit more about my health journey, as I have so many conversations about it. And every time I see someone, they're like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. What have you done?" And, it's such a fascinating and somewhat weird experience, that everyone kind of focuses on how you look and talk about, what did you do? What's your diet? And all of these things. And I explained to them that, this journey was never a weight loss journey. It was a very intentional hormone balancing journey during my peri-menopause chapter. And so many women have a very, very similar story. Kind of turned 40, and the way they eat and exercise seems to respond very differently in their body. And it's a very slow burn, and it kind of is quite confusing because nothing makes sense. And then you kind of feel back to normal, which is your previous hormonal state. And that's because your hormones, and particularly the estrogen, is like a roller coaster, and it goes very chaotic and then brings you into this illusion that everything is okay again, and then goes into chaos again. And that happens for years. And it's very, very, very confusing. And you feel like you're literally going crazy because nothing makes sense. And for me, now in hindsight, I'm able to see those chaotic times and how that reflected in my health and in my body, and how so many things that I experience are actually hormones. And there is no one time fixes all balance hormones. It's really a day-to-day thing, and how it's not one specific formula for everyone, and how it really is a huge journey of self-intimacy and learning to truly listen to your body and all the cycles and natural rhythms, and getting to become really familiar with what your body is telling you. So, as I said, I experienced, all the general symptoms, which there are so many. And no matter what I did, no matter how much I ate or how much I restricted, I just kept putting on weight. And look, none of it makes sense. And we have all these inflammation issues and all these aches and pains. Frozen shoulder, it's a killer. And all of this comes from hormones. I had spinal issues, soft tissue, like injuries, all this crazy, crazy stuff. And it's all part of our perimenopausal symptoms list. And the depletion and the mental fuckery and the lack of confidence and just not feeling yourself in a bit, like the exhaustion is indescribable, and so much to do with, broken sleep and just existing. So I got to a point where and during this time, I was studying about hormones and doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And none of it was sticking long term because of the chaos. And I just couldn't find that sweet spot. And then it just amplified into this whole new level, which is when a lot of people start researching HRT, hormone replacement therapy, or MRT, menopause replacement therapy. And I got to a place where I was so desperate that I was deeply considering that. And, no judgment, no shame, and whatever we need to bridge us out. But there was just this voice inside me that said, you are a master at healing and you have done so many extraordinary things in the past. I dare you to nail this. And that's the rebel in me, the one that is able to use that rebellious energy and turn it into very fierce discipline. So I went on this big commitment with myself to really balance my hormones and understand how estrogen works in our body, and we never get back ever to what it was before. It's a new way of living and a new way of operating, and how progesterone affects us, and testosterone as well. And so I started reading textbooks and, doing a whole heap of educational courses and all sorts of things. So during this journey, I was all about finding a deeper understanding of my hormones so that I could have some sense of stability in my everyday life. And it was through my hormone journey that was very unintentional weight loss. I lost 30 kilos, and all I wanted to do was work out my hormones, and the weight just started falling off me, and that was mind-blowing. So I dug a little deeper and deeper and deeper, and became really, really finessed in this work and understanding how to live in the long game as a menopausal woman. And there were some really obvious and consistent things, and that was, to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And we hear that a lot today in the health industry for all ages. It's very simple. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. And it's exactly the same for perimenopause and menopausal women. There's just a few nuances around that, because if you are in too much of a calorie deficit, your body will hold everything. And it goes into freak out mode and think you're in danger, and it will hold. Also, the cortisol will just go through the roof and you'll just be completely untethered. So there's this sweet spot where you need to be in a calorie deficit, but you have to have enough calories to be able to not have your body and your hormones freak out and hold every single thing. And so I started tracking my food, and I dove deep into the food side of things. So how we work out what our calorie deficit is by using an RMR calculator, and you just Google it, resting metabolic rate, and it puts in your age, your sex, your height, and your current weight. And it will tell you how many calories you burn every day just by doing nothing. And as long as you're eating less than that number, and, you want to be having between 200 and 500 less. 200 will give you, weight loss and absolutely ensure that your body isn't freaking out. But if you feel somewhat balanced and you go to 500, then you're going to have a faster weight loss. Anything below that, your body will freak out and hold everything. So I went on an 9-month calorie deficit journey, and that's how all I hoped originally was to lose 5-10 kilos. That would be helpful. But when I realized that there was this formula and it was really easy, and all you got to do is eat a calorie deficit, I just did that. And during that time, I started eating more. And by eating more and befriending breakfast, my body was so satiated, it was nourished, it was happy, and my hormones were happy. And so everything was working in a way that I hadn't experienced for years. Befriending breakfast for a hormonally interesting woman, any woman over 40, is going to change your life. Like, you have to break your brain because you think restriction and not eating breakfast and fasting is a really good idea. And it's not. The only time you should be fasting is if you are in an intentional detox, or if you are trying to heal some sort of disease, or on a healing journey, very specific. And outside of that, you should just be in a general, everyday fast, which is 10 to 12 hours, like have dinner at 7 p.m., have breakfast at 7 a.m. That 12-hour window of fasting is going to reset and can do a complete rejuvenation of your brain and all of these things. So that was a huge, huge process. The other thing is eating nutrient-dense food, and that is, essentially eating as much real, alive food as you can and having as much nutrients in those foods. And if you're eating lots of healthy, green, nutrient-dense greens, vegetables, all the getting all your carbohydrates from vegetables, eating protein that is clean, and it doesn't even have to be clean. Like, it really doesn't have to be like high premium, grass-fed, organic, super da-da-da. It's just, as long as most of your food is like nutrient dense, real food, it just makes your meals really big. You get really full. You stay full. Like, I was never hungry. I was like, why am I not hungry ever? But always not waiting until you're starving or hungry, but eating at regular times. And so, it would become 12:30, which is my lunchtime, between 12:30 and 1. And I'd be like, not hungry, but it's time to eat. And when I put the plate down in front of me, it's not that I was starving, not that I was hungry, but I was ready to eat. And when I ate, I'd never overate. And I'm just like, we're so used to waiting for these hunger pains and all of this stuff. It's like really, kind of redefining the messages from the brain and the habits we're in. So I started tracking calories. And again, like, you don't have to start there, but it just makes it so easy. And you know what foods are what. And if you want to do this for yourself, it's that simple. Track your calories. I use an app called MyFitnessPal, and there are a million calorie tracking apps out there. But I also focus on macros, which is how much protein, how much carbohydrates, and how much fat I have a day. And I never, ever miss a day. Like, it's just part of my daily routine, and it just keeps me informed. And it's there's no addiction energy to it, or like freaking out about what I'm having or what I'm not having. It just gives you almost a sense of security. Like, it's such a weird way of thinking when you, especially, a Gen Xer, and you've grown up in a completely different dynamic. And and during this time I did zero exercise. Zero. Because I was too depleted, and the thought of exercising overwhelmed me, and that put stress on my body, so my body held. And so I just waited until I was ready. And then one day I'm like, I think I'm going to exercise now. And I did. And that's when I started my strength training journey, because cardio puts way too much stress on the body when you don't have enough estrogen. It's such a, again, breaking your brain thing, and starting to lift dumbbells and starting with 1 kilo and going to 2 kilos. And now I'm up to 6 kilos, and you get really strong really fast. It's so weird how it happens. Like, it just doesn't, there's a lot of brain breaking that happens. And it's easier than like jumping up and down doing step classes, or, F45 and CrossFit are really, really, really not good for perimenopause or any women over 40. They put way too much stress on the body, and there's not enough estrogen to be able to process that. And it's actually so much easier just doing dumbbells and stuff. Like, it's actually never annoying. The thing with that is, what you're doing is you're preparing the body for when the hormones do settle down post-menopause, and particularly from 60 onwards. And so much to do with osteo health, brain health. What you do now and what you bank now is going to determine your heart disease, your chance of dementia, chance of Alzheimer's, chance of, all the osteo aspects and stuff. And I don't know, it's so fascinating when I do weights 3 times only a week for 20 minutes. That's all you have to do. Is I see like my cute little old self running around, being active and vital and supple and strong, knowing that I put this time in now. And that's such a huge piece of it. Like, I don't do any of this to look the way I do. I don't do any of this to, have a good body. I don't do any of this to look a certain way. I do it because it makes me feel nourished like I never ever have before in my life. It makes me feel strong, and it makes me feel healthy. Like, when you go through difficult perimenopausal symptoms for years on end, you just get to a point where you accept this is what life is. These aches and pains are now forever. This is what happens when you get old. And when you come out the other side and you've living for health and you're eating for health and you're focusing on hormonal balanced health and banking for your 60s plus, and you feel the way you do, like it's unimaginable. Like it's unimaginable to feel without one ache or pain, not having a headache forever. You know, having energy you can't even really remember having before kids even, to better lift stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll just carry 20 bags because it feels like nothing. Like it's just extraordinary. I just had to pause the recording because there was a delivery guy at the door and you probably didn't even notice, but I take a few like adaptogen supplements that are extraordinary, but that's for a later conversation. I just got some Shisandra, which is an energizing adaptogen, can't even speak, adaptogen. And there's just all these herbal and natural ways of supporting yourself and providing scaffolding between hormones that works so efficiently and don't have any of the side effects or symptoms of HRT. I've become the biggest health geek I know. I spend probably 2 hours a day studying this stuff because I'm so passionate about it and I can't get enough. Like, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm reading textbooks, I'm studying with scientists, I am studying with women's fitness coaches, and it's just like, not because I'm trying to become some endurance freak or anything like that. It's just, it's like I've been given a golden ticket on how to age effortlessly, with ease, naturally. And it just blows my mind. Like, I literally am still completely blown away every day. I wake up, I bounce out of bed and go, whoa, what is this? And I walk past the mirror and go, whoa, who are you? And I put on my clothes and go, this is weird and wild and wonderful. And I have all the information that I will never, ever be overweight again, because I know how to maintain this weight with all these specific hormonal reality for the rest of my life. And that is freedom. Like, to be invested in my longevity in a really healthy way, like with no attachment of, you know, living forever or anything like that, God forbid. And it's effortless, it's easy, it's fun. Like, I teach people this and they do it in a really, you know, simplistic way that no one I know is spending 2 hours a day like geeking out on this. That's just me. But I just, like, I'm not a health obsessed. Like, I eat pizza, I had a beer the other day just for research to see how it processed in my body. I don't, eat raw, pure, organic fruit and vegetables because, some, it's not about that, at all. And I do eat a lot of, fruit and vegetables that often I source from somewhere that is more aligned with optimism. Optimism, that's a funny word. But that's only because it's fun. But again, I will eat anything from anywhere. I eat street food all the time because I love it. And most people would freak out about the hygiene. It's not about eating the healthiest thing because so many women say, I eat clean, I eat healthy. And my hormones are crazy. I keep putting on weight, but I eat clean and healthy. What's wrong with this? And it's like, that's not the point. It used to be the point in our 30s or early 40s, we thought, but you're eating way too many calories. You poured way too much cashew, butter all over that. It might be clean, it might be healthy, but it's full of calories and your body's just going to hold. And you're not going to lose weight because you're eating healthy or because you're eating clean. You're going to lose weight because you're in an appropriate calorie deficit and you're getting enough carbohydrates, enough protein, and enough fats at each meal, and it's spread more than often evenly over the day. So it really is about what you eat and when you eat. And women over 40 shouldn't eat starches during the day, only at night. Starch being rice, bread, even sweet potatoes. They all should be had at night, and it will help you sleep, because how the hormones process rice, bread being, wraps and healthy things, not just, white bread. Have them at night. There's nothing you cannot not have. Like I said, I eat 3 big meals a day. I eat a snack as well. And people are like, oh my God, you eat so much. I'm like, yeah, but it's not that many calories. And I never miss out. And if I want to go and eat a whole pizza by myself, I just work out how much the pizza is and then work out a smaller lunch and a smaller breakfast to accommodate that. And I'm more than happy to go way over my calories to eat that pizza. And the next day I will just have a little bit less because over the week, it's all the same calories. It's that simple. It is so simple. You just start there. Just start in being in a calorie deficit and don't worry about the food and you will lose weight. Just start there. Find out your resting metabolic rate. Google RMR calculator. Put in the thing, you'll get your number. Then spend 3 days tracking what you eat, what you normally eat, and educate yourself on how many calories are in each thing. If you want to keep going, track very specifically. Get out the scales. Get out your cups and spoons and work it out. Be either 200 to 500 grams 200 to 500 calorie window under your resting metabolic rate. Just start there. And then befriend breakfast. Either have a protein shake or have some eggs. Protein for breakfast. Your body will be happy. Have lunch without starch, without bread, without rice, without sweet potato or pumpkin. With some protein. Vegetarian or animal-based. At 3 o'clock, have a snack. I have an apple with almond butter drizzled all over it. Decadent. Having a protein bar. Have dinner. Have 12 hours between when you have dinner and when you have breakfast. Within days, you'll feel like a completely new woman. Within 20 days, 21 days, you'll start melting weight off you, and you'll feel the brain fog clear. You'll feel remnants of your former self. And you don't have to do any exercise unless you want to. But if you do too much, it'll put way too much stress on your body and it won't be happy. Just start. One thing. Find out what your resting metabolic rate is for your age, your height, your weight. Work out the number of calories it takes for your body just to be alive, and eat less than that. Just start there. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because that's the answer to the question where people go, oh my God, what diet are you on? Are you doing keto? Are you doing fasting? Are you doing whatever they go and ask me? I'm like, I'm doing mature lady health, long-term, long game focused. They're like, what's that? Who does that? And it's like, it's about becoming intimate with yourself, understanding your body, aware of your hormone changes, taking a very front row seat in your health journey, supporting yourself, not resisting, and knowing that you're never going to go back to what you were like in your 30s, let alone your 20s. And you need to learn how to navigate life without estrogen, and life without progesterone, and life without testosterone levels that you used to have, because they're never, ever coming back, and no amount of HRT will bring them back to those levels. HRT is a bridge to come to levels of a healthy menopausal woman, not to a pre-perimenopausal woman. They aren't a magic. It's not a magic. It's a support system. But it's not necessary. If you can do it yourself, there's no cost, there's no possible symptoms, or there's no shift in your natural state. And if you choose to take that bridge, then no judgment. We do whatever we need to do. I've just cracked the code for a different route, and I teach women how to do it. And I have some women that have been doing it for some months, some many months, and not quite a year, and they're getting incredible results in terms of balancing their hormones and energy levels and disease in their bodies, and reading their hormones and feeding themselves. And they've all lost lots of weight by consequence, and just, it can't be about the weight loss, because it's not. We're so attached to wanting to lose that menopause belly, or those, 40 inflammation and 50s puff and all that. And it's just like, that is not the point. That's the consequence of everything else. So I'm going to stop there today because I could talk about this forever. And I will talk more about other things as I bring all this together. I am deep in my maintenance era, and the fluctuations on the scale are so minute, no matter it's so fascinating, this maintenance era. Like, I literally shift about 300 grams on the scale, and that's like within a 200 calorie window of daily changes of having different foods and having to increase your calorie intake. After you go into maintenance, breaks your brain a bit, but once you get there, like, it's just wild. It's been so fun adding calories to my journey. Like, it's so fun. And now I just am building lean muscle mass. Like, I've got these little guns growing, and I'm like, what? Who am I? So weird. Anyway, I'm deep in mastering the content of the maintenance, and I'm going to eventually publish a very simple handbook of how to do this and where to start. Simple one. What to eat, when to eat. Simple. Because although I am a freaky geek in the ways that I dive into my own education and evolution, most people just want to be told what to do. Everyone said, can you just tell me what to do? It's too confusing. Just be simple. And that's what I hear over and over again. I'm like, okay, listen. Simple. Tell them what to do. And when I've done that, it's like, oh, you don't want the thousands of pages of information that I have available for you to consume to work. Oh, you don't want that. Okay. Got it. So, yeah, and I've got people asking me to come and do live-in retreats where we follow this system and do the food and do the movement and live it day to day in a 7-day or 10-day retreat. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get onto that. Addressing people individually, uniquely. Anyway, I'm, like I said, going to stop here now because I will keep going for hours and hours and hours. I am so passionate about all of this. It is just glorious. So I do have another website besides my Nick Star website, a website called ilovemenopause.com, because I do. So on that website, I actually have a free webinar, which is an hour long on the page you can just watch. And I also have a at-home 14-day program, which has lots and lots of information, and lots of people get overwhelmed, but I'm going to redefine that because of the feedback. Those that love information love it. Those that want to just be simple and tell me what to eat, tell me what to do, find it a bit difficult. And that's how I went into one-on-one people, and just having a 1 hour call and giving them direct specific instructions for them, or going into a 1 month container, which always extends because it's like, I'm not giving this up. I want to be accountable to you because this is wild. And there's 3 months and 6 months if that's something you're interested in. But like I said, I am creating the easy, simple handbook, and that is coming whenever it is ready to be birthed. So there's lots of information on ilovemenopause.com, and there's also a link to that, I think, there is on the Unique Style website. So if there's anyone that you think may benefit from this, please share this rather. And feel free to reach out to me on any of the Messenger, Instagram, email, smoke signal isms. I'm always here for starting a conversation. I appreciate you and I thank you. I love you. Goodbye.